I'm sorry, what's that?
Will you run this thing for the cardio? Is that what you always say? Let's run.
I hear record when you said that, Brian, bro. You say, what you say, not Chuck? Yeah, we're going to run this for the cardio. And we are back 100%, Brian. That's exactly how we going to run this, man. We're going to huff and puff until we get tired.
Huff and puff.
Of running this thing, Brian Broaddus. We're going to talk about some draft prospects that are really interesting. I wanted to get a little take on them there. We're going to, talk about Dane Brugler and his selecting of Luther Burden. We ain't gonna hang there too long. But back to business, Bryan Broaddus. All this draft stuff is fun, and it is indeed a Wednesday for us, and we break down the team that we're going to be playing against. We break down their offense on Wednesday, so that's what we're here to do, Bryan Broaddus. And let me just open up by just saying this: boy, it's a damn shame what they doing to Joe Burrow, man. Like it's like. Yeah, it's like when you look at the record of that team, and it's surprising that the Cowboys have a better record than the Bengals do. That was shocking. I tweeted about it. It's crazy. But Joe Burrow's been really good the last 6 or 7 weeks or so. Like they kind of stumbled a little bit, like the Bengals always tend to do, Brian. That's a trend I'm noticing from them. But the last 6 or 7 or so weeks, man, Joe been lighting this thing on fire. And I say that because that's the film that I was looking at. I didn't look at the early Bengals. I looked at the last handful of weeks. And if you don't. And look, the Cowboys may or may not do this, but if you don't get a handle on him and Jamar Chase, this will get bad for you real fast, Brian. Boy,
I think you're absolutely right about that. And what I did was I went back and I did do some early stuff. I was curious of how people affect the Bengal offense. Sure. It's through pressure. Yeah. It's through blitzing. They've got Hall of Fame skill guys. Mm-hmm. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback. Their offensive line is not that good, and they've struggled with that. And I went back and I watched every single sack that they gave up from the beginning to the Pittsburgh game, this last game that they just had. And the one thing that I came away with was blitzing, and then also any type of pressure you can get by creating one-on-one matchups. Don't let these offensive linemen combo block. Don't let them help each other with protection. Because if you can get right guard Alex Kappa by himself, and this is where Zimmer's going to have to play this game, is an elevating Osa Odigizua good enough to give Alex Kappa problems in this game? You're damn right he is. Yeah. Is Micah Parsons, is a blitzing Overshown. Yeah. This is a guy that gets walked a little bit. This is a guy that gets knocked around a little bit. I think Ted Karras, their center, is pretty good. But they've got to, I could see them trying to sure, there are going to be some double teams that you're going to have to deal with, but this game for the Cowboys could very well come down to how they are going to win single blocks. Now, good news for the Cowboys today. Diggs practicing. Okay. Good news. Even though it was that mock game, and Voch, when you and I go out to Oxnard next year and watch practice, and you say, oh, look, it's mock game. Oh, we're going to get a scrimmage. No, you're not. It's like a hats and T-shirt practice. We all got fooled by that, the mock game, Bill. Sure. So, we'll let you think that you're really going to watch a real practice, but you're not. But the thing with, but he at least participated where Diggs has not participated before. So that's a good sign right there when you start to talk. Yeah, this is what you got to do when you're dealing with the Bengals. I believe this is opening day against New England. Yep. Burrow does this. This is a common thread when you watch him. He will pull the ball down. It's like he's not really like, I don't really want to throw this, and he'll pull it down, and then all of a sudden then it turns into problems. It turns into sacks and things like that. So what you have to do, they have a different right tackle. They have the rookie in there at tackle. now. But like I say, I think that's Brown at right tackle.
Yeah.
That hurt his knee. He's on the injured. But there you go. Okay, Will, if you can run that macro.
Look at that fat boy moving his feet.
Yeah.
Boy. Look at that fat
Yeah. Yeah. But see, look what's going on
Kappa.
at the guard spots. Yeah. Look at what's going on there at that right guard spot. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of looking at right now, and I'm thinking,
Sure.
All right, that hasn't improved, Voch.
Yeah.
That really hasn't improved a whole heck of a lot. So to me, this is where if Dallas, and listen, their numbers tell you that they don't run the ball well. That it's a struggle for them to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Brown has been better running the ball.
Yeah.
But they've had a lot of issues, and very, very similar to what Dallas deals with their own struggles of running the football. They get in that shotgun formation and they're going to throw the football.
Yeah.
I think the Colts are the only team. See the pull? Did you see it right there?
Yeah.
There you go. See that pull down? Watch. It's pull it down and then try and. That happens to Joe a lot.
Yeah.
In these sacks, if you can kind of deny that on the outside, and then find a way to capture him in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see the Bengals being able to run the football. I just don't. And I think Dallas has gotten better. I think Dallas has played against some better backs here recently.
Yeah.
And have done a really nice job. And Joe Burrow ain't going to run. Now they might incorporate something, he might scramble and stuff, but Joe Burrow ain't going to do any design runs. I just don't see that. If they're doing that stuff, man, that's crazy in my book.
Desperate.
But this offensive line, I think it plays into Dallas's hands a little bit, because the one thing, if Dallas doesn't have to really sell out on the run, and it turns into, now, you've got to be able to Diggs and Bland and Lewis. Yeah, it's going to be an all-day sucker for them.
Yeah. See, the Ravens didn't do a really good job covering them, Brian. That's something I had to look at myself.
And Chase, the two times that Chase played the Ravens, you watch that, he killed them.
Yeah.
But you and I have talked about when the Cowboys played the Ravens, we thought there were some opportunities in that secondary.
Sure.
And we're like, well, hey, you got to kind of throw the ball if you could protect the front. Cincinnati did a good job of that. Sure. Cincinnati with Chase, I think he had one catch last time they played here. 2 targets, 1 catch, and Diggs was outstanding. And and Anthony Brown was the other corner that day. But here's where you're at right now. If Dallas can find a way, not to worry about the run. And trust me, Dallas and Cincinnati defenses play more light box against those two teams. Cincinnati's over 50% light box. Like, teams don't respect them running the ball. They get in cover too deep, and they're gonna try and keep everything in front of them, or they're gonna give themselves the option to put a safety over the top of wherever Chase goes, because we know that ball is going to go vertically. Yeah. He's got 5 of his 13 touchdowns are deep shots. So, here we are talking about that again. But this is where, if Dallas can hold up in the back end with these guys, make Burrow have to hold the ball, blitz. Yeah. Make this line have to play in this game. They're running backs too. When Zach Moss, when he was healthy, when he wasn't on IR and he was playing, he was giving up pressures and sacks. He was missing blocks, and dudes were running over the top of him to get to Joe Burrow. Yeah. I think the same thing can happen, because I think Dallas is now starting to kind of feel their game as far as pass rushers.
Yeah. So you think, Brian, like, if we had to highlight 2 guys on the offensive line to go after, you would say like Kappa,
right side.
Yeah,
the right side. Go after the rookie. You got to. I think, to me, there's Mims. A couple of spots there. Mims and Kappa on that right side.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like that, because I think the center can hold up.
Karras.
We'll see with Orlando Brown. We'll see what happens. They've been using this Cordell Volson.
Yeah.
They've been using him as the guard. He's number 67, but they might go with Cody Ford, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Cody Ford, they got from Arizona Cardinals, number 61. Now, he's been playing some tackle, so we'll see. They're trying to kind of piecemeal stuff together.
Yeah.
But, man, this is a game. This is a game for Osa. This is a game for Micah, for Overshown. Hell, Kendricks, those guys that can attack the middle of the pocket, especially over that number 65, Alex Kappa.
Yeah, I agree, Bryan Broaddus. I think, that's the way to do it. Cover, hold on to your stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just, hang on for dear life and just hope that those pass rushers can get there. Like if they try to isolate your safeties and all that, then, it could be a weird day for you if you allow them to do that.
Yeah, I think that, like I say, a lot of light box against opponents, just they're getting too deep, and they don't face as much that single high look. Mm-hmm. And I think Zimmer kind of understands that having now this is the rub that you and I have, and we talk about it quite a bit. That when Donovan Wilson, now maybe you do play single high stuff. You just shade Hooker to whatever side, whatever side Chase is on. Yeah. But we found out that Donovan Wilson playing too deep coverage, maybe not the cup of tea, maybe not the cup of tea. But maybe, the problem is you've lost Wanye Thomas
and Bell,
and you've lost Bell. Yeah. So now you really don't have a way to play Wilson down and then have Wanye Thomas come in and play as a coverage guy.
Boy, were we right about that old Donovan playing too high, boy. Jerry Wayne can't lie to us, man.
No. But see, that's what I'm saying. And Dallas has been able to get some blitzes home. Mm-hmm. Donovan Wilson is a blitzer. Jordan Lewis coming from the slot can blitz. One of the best slot blitzers I think I've ever seen was old Orlando Scandrick playing that slot blitz. And that was under Rod Marinelli. Remind me a little bit, of Rondé Barber, the way Rondé Barber used to blitz off that slot. Yeah. So Joe Burrow, veteran guy, but pressure and blitzes, that's right there. That has to be the ticket. You've got to get it to him before ball gets out.
Yeah. Man, Bryan Broaddus, I know they got Chase over there, man, but
they do.
I was watching this. So
does Higgins. Higgins is good too.
So, Bryan, I noticed something interesting, man. I noticed some of these teams try to trap Higgins at the line of scrimmage and try to get a little physical with him, Bryan Broaddus. You think that's the way to go here, to try to really attack them first and really mess up the timing of some of these routes and to keep them from getting downfield so fast, so quickly?
I do. I think free access and routes for both these guys is going to be a problem for the defense. I think you have to find a way to make them start, stop, and start again. Yeah. T. Higgins is a really good route runner. He's really, really good down in the red zone too. So I kind of feel like, to me, if you're going to blitz, you're likely going to be playing some man coverage stuff. And I would try and be as disruptive as possible playing against these guys. Free access and routes, especially if Chase wants to go vertically on the go routes that they run, because that's a big play for these guys. Sure. Like Burrow's got 30 touchdown passes, and like I said, 5 of them are deep shots to Chase. Of his 13, 5 of them have been vertical balls that have been thrown.
Yeah.
So I'm not letting him get off the line. I'm trying to hold up these receivers to make Burrow hold the ball a little bit longer. Now, if you look at Burrow's games, and I went and checked this because to me, I'm like, God dang, he holds that ball a long time. And there's ways they measure that stuff now with the how many seconds that they hold the ball in the pocket and stuff.
Time to throw.
The Cowboys have played some teams that they've played some teams that pretty much they'll hold the ball. And So yeah, here's one. This was a game note I had for myself. Really believes in holding on to the ball, allowing his guys to get open. All 13 of his games, he's averaged holding the ball more than 2.5 seconds. So if you look at every time he drops back, he has not had a game where he's averaged less than 2.5 seconds in the game throwing the football. Everything is everything's 2.5 and greater for him.
Yeah.
So that's where it's going to have to be, because Joe will hang in there. He will hang in there and he'll let it develop, and then he'll let it go. But then we saw what happens. Pull it down, get sacked. Yeah. We saw that. So Dallas needs to turn it into a pull it down and get sacked game this weekend.
I think this is really where the heavyweight fight is, Brian, because when we get to the Bengals defense, we're gonna talk about that for like 5 minutes and just talk a bunch of draft stuff, because the Bengals defense hasn't been great, but they match with the Cowboys offense, who hasn't been great. So that's where your matchup is. But if you're gonna win this game, it's gonna have to be on defense. And you trying to get points elsewhere.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Cowboys, we always say this about them, and if you had Dak and a healthy Zach Martin and all that,
and a new play caller,
and then a play caller, this would be a little bit of a fairer fight right now. Yeah. I think the Cowboys defense is playing better. Whose defense you like better? Pittsburgh, Dallas. It's Pittsburgh gave up a lot of points the other day, but that was Cincinnati at home. Yeah. Cincinnati's going to score points. The problem is you've got to find a way to get off the field. You can't teams at home against the Cowboys have been averaging well over 35 points a game.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen, because I don't know. Hell, I say I don't know. I know you're not going to get that from Cooper Rush.
No.
You're not going to get that from Cooper Rush. Mm-hmm. So, it's a matter of even if Dallas can get off the field and get some short fields, teams are smart. They're going to make Dallas drive the ball because they think Cooper Rush was going to make a mistake when they get down the red zone.
Sure.
He's going to miss a pass. Mike McCarthy's going to call a couple of runs that are going to get stuffed, and then they have to kick a field goal. Teams are not fearing Dallas. They're making Dallas drive the ball. And Cincinnati, as bad as they've been on defense, I could absolutely see them trying to do the same thing. Make Cooper Rush drive the ball, because they haven't had great red zone success. Now, on the other end of that, Cincinnati's a red zone killer.
Yeah.
Like 71% in the red zone. Dallas is one of the worst red zone defenses in the league.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough.
Let's take 3 seconds to get ready to talk some draft, Brian.
All right. Yeah.
I got a chance to watch Alec Amador and Mike Green. Mm-hmm. Which one you want me to talk about first?
Tell me about the Stanford wide receiver first, if you would, please, sir.
Alec Amador. Man, I feel like this Stanford offense, I don't think they did him a whole bunch of favors, like trying to get him going.
No.
You remember we talked about the wide receiver Addison that came out a couple years ago? Like his old, his old school. I think he was like Michigan State or something, and he got all the targets, all the activity there. But when he got to USC, they didn't really use him the way that you use a dynamic guy like that. I watched 2 games of Alec Amador, and I was a little stuck on him, Brian. 'Cause I was like, man, I see some things in him. I'm like, man, why don't they try to get him going? Then I watched the second half of Colorado, like you instructed me to.
Yeah.
The second half, because the first half they didn't use him, in which
he had a big bagel in the first half of that game, and Stanford was in trouble in the first half of that football game.
But man, Bryan Broaddus, it's like they just said, you know what? Let's just run some slants and see what happens. Let's just run. That boy can run a slant, can't he, Bryan Broaddus? Man, Brian, when I watch Alec Amador, he like what 6'2", 210 or something like that.
That's him. You got it right.
Man, Bryan Broaddus, I see a cat that's gonna set you up with some routes, Bryan Broaddus. I see a character that's gonna get off that line of scrimmage and misdirect you at the top of that damn route, not the old Dez Bryant. I'm just gonna throw a head and run a route. He'll use his hands. He'll use his feet. He'll drift with leverage and set you up to the outside to work back inside. He ran about 7 slants, and about 3 of them looked different than the other 3 or 4 of them, Bryan Broaddus. So I was like, man, that's impressive. Eventually, Travis Hunter caught on to it and tried to jump the slant. But him and his strong hands, Bryan Broaddus, caught the football contested over Travis Hunter. I was like, damn. Brian, something else I noticed about Alec Alamagnon, I don't even know if that's how to say his name, but that's how I'm saying it. Boy, Bryan Broaddus, they had a hard time getting him down, didn't they? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I didn't
they
think of him as an explosive guy. You know, he ran out in the open field. They caught up to him a little bit, but he had some bursts when he first started running. But just as a yak guy in general, I felt like they had a hard time getting him down. Like the first guy didn't really pull him down to the ground, and he was able to get some extra yards off of that. Man, Brian, you know, I saw some big. He had like a 298-yard game or something like that. I'm gonna let you go, man. He was able to make some big plays down the field and some big yak plays off of the crosses and slants. But Brian, one thing that I thought that could be real impressive if Stanford had a Ben Johnson or something.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a really good red zone dude jumping over people catching the football.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a really good dude doing that, but they didn't do it on the film enough. But I think he got the actual trace to do it. Bryan Broaddus, what did you think about our wide receiver from Stanford, Alec Alamagnon?
I'll tell you what, man. I love the way you're saying his name. And,
I don't even know if it's Spanish, but it's gonna be today though.
Amador, I think is how you say it. You know, it's but yeah, he is a very interesting character. He's a Canadian kid that played his high school football in the United States. So he moved from Canada so he can go play football and get better at football. And the straight line speed is really, really good. And he's the type of guy that looks like, to me, he builds speed as he works his way up the field. I think as you mentioned, I think he really tracks the ball well. I think he can make some unreal circus receptions to, you know, with that ability to track the ball and maintain body control. He took over that Colorado game by working against Travis Hunter. And you know, in the first half, he got nothing. And then the second half, Stanford just kind of figured some things out, and he caught the game-tying touchdown, as you mentioned, over the top of Hunter's head. I mean, literally went over the top. Hunter couldn't have been in better position to make a play, and he just took it over, like the last name of Hunter, off his back and pulled it over his head. And so, as you mentioned too, the quarterback situation has been poor throughout his career, and he's made the most of it, though. He's a precise route runner. He could wear defenses out with his slants due to his size and his willingness to go inside. North Carolina State, TCU, Syracuse games that I watched there. He's got start-stop ability as a route runner. I do think he lacks a little initial quickness, but he's able to make that up in some other areas. You'll see him make a play down the field. He's made a one-handed catch against Syracuse for a touchdown by high-pointing the ball. I like the way he's able to fight the defender down the field. You see him push, shove in order to gain separation. He's a physical runner with the ball in his hands. I think you alluded to that earlier. And he's not going to run away from a defender, but he does finish. Yeah. I thought this guy reminded me, do you remember Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's kid at USC?
Very, like, does everything real hard, looking at 100% type.
Yeah. This guy reminds me of Brendan Rice, who's with the Chargers now. We all remember Brendan Rice when he's Jerry Rice's kid.
Sure.
We're watching USC. We're watching Caleb Williams. We're watching him kind of make crazy catches, run after catch. I think our Stanford guys are probably a little bit more physical with the ball. But that's what I was kind of thinking about when I was watching him play. Like, man, this guy looks like Brendan Rice, USC. And again, he's with the Chargers now. So I think you got the player. Right. I think somebody is going to take this kid. I do think he's smart. I think he's tough. I think he catches the ball extremely well. I really do believe some of his best football might be ahead of him.
1,000%, Bryan Broaddus.
6'2", 210. He runs well enough. He's tough, physical, run after catch, catches the ball in his hands. There's a lot to like about this kid. Really, really is.
Where do you draft him?
I got him. I would say he's probably going to be late, probably a late 2, maybe even a 3, depending on where some of these other guys go. Yeah. I'm interested to see if Evan Stewart, the wide receiver from Oregon, comes out. I was hearing some whisper. I don't know. Did Dane tell us last night that he might not be coming out?
Dane said that Jones, the tackle from Texas, is not, and the tackle from LSU. He's
Emory Jones.
Emory Jones is not going to be coming out.
Yeah. Emory Jones doesn't like he's going to come back out. The tight end there is not probably going to come out. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I say,
the tight end Warren.
No, Mason Taylor. Jason Taylor's son. Mason Taylor. Tremendous player.
Sure.
Mason Taylor is a ton of fun to watch play. And that's my school. Mason Taylor, in my mind, is one of the best offensive players. LSU has a great history with wide receivers. This kid, as a tight end, his dad, like I said, Jason Taylor, he has got every bit of athletic ability that his dad has, except he's playing on offense. Length, run after catch, toughness, throw the ball. They know on third down the ball's going his direction, and he's covered and he catches the ball. So I'll be interested to see if he comes back or not. But I'm interested, like I say, I always use the word interested here, but I kind of feel like that maybe I don't think that our Stanford kid is a first-round player.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody took him late one. I think he's more of a second round, maybe middle of the second round, maybe a late second round type of a player.
We'll definitely have to look at the rest of the board and see like where he falls and all that. But
that's what I'm kind of thinking about right now, because I know. Do you have him in the first round? Do you think he's a first round?
Maybe like mid to late second for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with that too. As you heard from me, I think the first round guys you're talking about right now are is McMillan. Well, depending on what you think about Hunter. But I'll leave it to you guys, because you guys got Hunter as a corner, you and Dane. So McMillan, I think. Well, you could throw Hunter in there because he is a wide receiver. Yeah. Hunter, McMillan, Burden. I think those are your first round guys. Sure. And then it starts to get. Then we start to get into, where where the Ohio State kid goes, and the others like that.
Yeah, got to watch those guys. I haven't gotten to them quite yet, but boy, Bryan Broaddus, Mike Green, man, from Marshall.
How do you like Mike Green?
Shit.
And it really, I mean, and it's so funny because Bobby Belt and I were having this discussion today on Low of the Star, and we were talking about Mike Green. Bobby and I broke in. It's funny, we're doing the same thing. Like the first 15 minutes, Bobby's like, let me ask you about this college guy. And the next thing you know, we're having a 15-minute conversation about draft.
Yeah.
And then, all right, we're going to get into the Bengals. We never get into the Bengals. We just keep talking about,
as you should.
But Mike Green, Bobby brought it up. He and Nick Harris from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram were at a game, and Nick asked him, like, hey, who's your sleeper guy? He goes, I got a sleeper guy for you. I got a player that, try and find these sleeper guys and stuff. And Bobby's like, who's your sleeper guy? And he goes, Mike Green from Marshall. and it's funny because I brought up his name. I go, Bobby, have you seen Mike Green? And he goes, you're the second person that's asked me about Mike Green. And so him and Nick had a conversation, but I'll let you have a discussion about Mike Green. Go ahead and tell me about Mike Green. He's a transfer from Virginia going to Marshall, but tell me all about what you saw about this kid.
I'll tell you what, sir. Mike Green ain't no sleeper. I be damn. Mike Green is one of my favorite pass rushers. I say defensive ends.
Kind of a pet cat guy now.
I don't think he can be, because I think he's a first round player, Bryan Broaddus. I think by the end of this conversation, Mike Green will be a first round player for you. Let me just look up his game log real fast, because he got an outstanding number of sacks on the board, Brian. I just want he got 16 sacks this year, Bryan Broaddus. Yeah. And I'm looking at the kid, Mike Green, man. I'm like, damn. We were talking to Dane Brugler yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about James Pierce from Tennessee. And he was all like, well, James Pierce don't feel like a three down player to me. He rushed the pass, but I don't know about the run game. Mike Green gets busy in the pass. Yeah. He gets busy in the run. Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
And he looked like a slim dude, like you wouldn't think he's very strong. But
6'4", 248.
But he run past people and he's dragging
Yeah.
bodies with him on the way to the ball carrier, Bryan Broaddus. Like he like they try to put tight ends on him. That doesn't work. And he's really beating the hell out these tackles in the run game. He's extending on guys in the run game, Bryan. And I'm like, damn, he looks like a really good rundown player. And then when you see him get pressure on people, like pass rushing people, and he just got this natural shoulder dip, Bryan. He's just really good at it, capturing the back hip, really bendy as well, Bryan Broaddus. I watched him versus ULM and Coastal Carolina, and I said, well, the first thing they gonna say to me is, well, but Voch is he plays for Marshall. He's whooping up terrible kids, and boy, he got the nastiest spin move versus one of Ohio State kids, and I'd be damn, Bryan.
Watch him against Ohio State and Virginia Tech.
Man,
a couple of programs,
some top programs, Bryan. I'm looking at Mike Green and his 16 sacks and his 76 tackles overall, Bryan Broaddus. I say, damn, that looks like a complete ball player, outside linebacker, standing type dude right there. And
that's him.
Take that dude and let him fly, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah, I like what you've done here with Mike Green. I mentioned 6'4" and 248 pounds, transfer from Virginia. This guy's a really twitched up edge rusher is what he is. And you see him line up on both sides of the formation. He's explosive. He's quick. He's got a really good first step. You mentioned it. He's got some really natural bend, the flat into the quarterback. He's got some really good pass rush moves. He could really use his hands to swat away blockers. He'll use a swim move. He'll counter swim moves in order to rush the passer. This guy never stops moving. He shows the ability to get up the field, then retrace his steps in case he goes too far up the field. You talk about the natural leverage. He's got some wrestling in his background. So he's got some of that. He's got that. There was a couple of things that when I used to work with Mike Lombardi, when we were together in Philadelphia, and Mike will have on here in the next couple of weeks, talk some ball. And Mike always taught me if the kid was from Belglade, Florida, or he had a wrestling background, go ahead and pick him. You're probably gonna hit on that guy. Two things: Belglade, Florida, and a wrestling background. And so Mike Green does have that wrestling background. So, but he could stack, he could shed. He's aggressive with the way he plays. I thought there was some times though, when you mentioned about the run stuff with the ball when it came his direction, there were times he was kind of took himself out of some plays. But you know what? It wasn't like every down. He just was trying to kind of get around a block and then get in on the play. But this is a
let me say this, Bryan. Let me say this on that point though. It's not like he's getting whooped in the run game, but I think he wants to make a play so bad, he'll miss the read option, the speed, like he'll overrun a gap or something like that. You can fix that type of stuff. But please go ahead.
Exactly.
Sorry, please.
Yeah, no, but he's got a burst. He can chase. I didn't think he was the biggest guy weight with bulk.
Sure.
But he doesn't look light in his uniform. Right. I mean, when I saw 6'4", 248, and we had these Texas A&M kids, this is what I was thinking the Texas A&M kids were going to be. This is when Stewart and the guy, these are who I thought. I'm like, oh, these are going to be the A&M kids, 6'4", 248 kind of guys. No, those dudes are like 290, 280. I'm just like, no, wait a minute. But this kid is he's I don't know about you, Voch. I didn't see him put his hand on the ground very much.
I didn't at all. I didn't.
So to me, I wonder if he could be even faster with getting that kind of start, because he's basically playing in a 2-point stance. I mean, he's playing on his feet.
Right.
But I love the way he plays with his explosive quickness, and I think he's a hell of a player. This to me is the type of guy that you take, and he is just disruptive as soon as he gets off the bus. And you said I watched in Ohio State, Virginia Tech. There are other games, and this guy he gets it as a pass rusher. He really, really does. He's got some really good technique as a pass rusher.
Well, Bryan, let me ask you this, man. I just want to ask you a question, Bryan. The great Bryan Broaddus here.
Would you take him? Would you take? I don't think I would take him if that's what you're going to ask me over anything like.
Pierce.
I don't think I would. Yeah, I would. Pierce, yes, yeah. I think there's questions about. To me, we talked about Pierce last night. I think Carter is Penn State's kind of the level, the highest level you can go.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, we've talked about Williams
It's him.
from Georgia. We've talked about Pierce from Tennessee. We've talked
Tuamalaau.
about Stewart, and I mean, they're our guy at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys we've talked about.
Currently, Brian, since we've been talking, he's my second edge player. He's my second edge guy. I got Carter 1, then it's him, and then I would put Pierce from Tennessee there.
See, yeah.
Brian, I will not be a coward and a phony and put Michael Williams over him. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then if I'm only judging Jalen Walker as an edge player, then I'll put Walker behind Pierce.
I'm gonna leave Walker as a linebacker is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And then and let us figure that out from there.
But look, all these other characters, Brian, bro, like what I'm saying, Shamar Stewart, Scorton, please, man, get those guys. No.
Scorton. I mean, okay, how about you really liked Landon Jackson?
Yeah,
from Arkansas.
Sure.
You're not putting Landon Jackson over this guy, right?
Jackson's after like Tuamalaau, maybe. They're kind of close.
Tuamalaau is the Ohio State kid, yeah.
JT Tuamalaau, edge, Ohio State. Got you.
Right.
But this Mike Green kid, like he's not even on he ain't even on PFF's list right now. He's a sophomore or something, redshirt sophomore, I believe. He ain't even on their list right now. But I got him higher than Michael Williams. I got him higher than James Pierce by 1, and Pierce is my third guy.
Yeah. I like what you did there because when I watched him, I was thinking, man, this kid, I could see why. People see Marshall and they kind of freak out, but he did start his career. He did start his career in the ACC at Virginia,
sure,
and transferred. So, that's a great thing about scouting, man. Walter Payton went to school at Jackson State. Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley.
Sure,
there's Hall of Fame players come from some of these small schools, man. Marshall's not a small school, but Marshall's probably Marshall's.
They're not
one of those.
They're not Power 5, but
they're not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if this kid was doing this at Virginia, you'd be probably even more excited.
Easy
because he'd be wearing out like Joe Alt, from Notre
100%.
Dame and kind of stuff like that. Yeah.
Man, Brian, me and you always seem to have an impressive conversation, man. We always seem to figure this.
I'm kind of
out.
scared that you and I agreed on Mike Green, but the film don't lie, as they say.
Brian, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna have we totally disagree on Jalen Walker, so it's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I know. It's okay. You could be wrong in your first year on the draft show. You'll get better.
Don't
let that bother you, man. You're gonna miss some guys along the way.
Talk about my wins, man. I got some wins too. Talk about them. Man, Bryan Broaddus, is always an honor and a pleasure to work with you, sir. Hey, y'all be sure to tune in with us. First of all, go in the comments and tell us what you think about Alec and wide receiver from Stanford, and Mike Green, the edge player from Marshall.
If I could say something real quick to folks, even YouTube has gotten better at some of this stuff, guys. I know Voch and I've got film and stuff that we get and things like that. We hook and crook this stuff. But even if you want to go just get a taste of these guys, that you can find them. There's ways to find these guys.
I typed in Marshall versus Ohio State.
Exactly. And then you can watch. I mean, you could see number 15 just wrecking shop.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa, you get an idea, you get a feel. I mean, is film the best thing to have? Sure. But there's ways to kind of figure this thing out. There's these they do a great job now of making these plays where you at least get a feel for what these guys look like.
This YouTube
you're about
right
to
here.
show that. Yeah.
Well, let me I'll show you, bro. You want to see so bad. I'll show you hit that spin move on that boy.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll show you.
Right there.
I'll show you.
All right, we're talking about that guy. That's the guy we're talking about right there. And you just saw that right there on YouTube.
Yep.
So hey, don't be ashamed. If you could, just go and look. If you want to go look at these guys, some people out there are doing some really good work on YouTube, because when I post the show, there's always something that pops up that I'm like, oh, it's Michigan's offensive line versus, and I'm like, damn, this is like tight cop. It's like tight copy film. I'm like, well, all right. And they no huddle, no, I mean, geez, it's like watching, it's clear. You can see the numbers and you get an idea. Yeah. You get an idea of the players. So, don't feel like you have to have, but you can go get a feel for these guys. You really can. So I encourage you to do that. Or you can steal film like Voch and I do, and it'd be good.
They gonna take me to jail, bro. The police gonna have to come
They ain't taking me to jail. Nah.
Yeah, well, I just got this job. You're right. Hey, but tap in with me on social medias. I'm starting to get a little busy right now. And Bryan Broaddus, y'all be sure.
Oh, we get a little tired now. We get a little tired there, Precious.
No, never, man. Look, I say tap in with me because I'm tapping in. I'm getting big.
Oh, you're tapping in. I thought you're like, oh man, I'm dragging ass.
That's slang, Bryan Broaddus. I'm getting busy. I'm tapping in, like I'm going to work right now. I'm
do that cardio. We need to go do that cardio.
Running for the cardio, ladies and gentlemen. Bryan Broaddus talking slang now. Bryan gonna be saying tapped in on the radio. Be like, oh yeah, Bryan Broaddus been talking to.
Yeah, tap in.
Hey, y'all hold it down till next time. We love y'all to pieces. Until next time, Crown.